You have to do it.
Got it. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to talk about, we're going to review the results of the frequency analysis that I've done and review the Delphi survey process. I've got screenshots from the system we're going to use for the survey itself. Not really do a demo, but at least show the screenshots of what you're going to see. And then I've got a bit of an updated timeline. For those that have been in previous meetings, such as epidemiology, some of this you're going to see has been changed. So once I did the frequency analysis with 34 different studies, as we discussed the last time, I condensed complications and pre-existing conditions. I had originally recorded them individually. And then once I condensed those into one data element, essentially, I was able to pull up some others from the frequency analysis. Following that, I had already taken out all of the core elements, but then we did sort of a work group wide analysis of data elements to deconflict so that really we only had one work group looking at a specific data element. And so then I was able to actually pull up additional data elements within the frequency that had appeared in 5 different sources, where I think prior to that, I was at 7 different sources. So that added a bunch of data elements for us to look at. So this is just in order of total and percent. And some of these will be interesting. We have such as there's a data element, initial weight and height, or initial weight, and then weight. So that'll come out in the survey. For the survey purposes, I'm going to try to chunk these data elements up into sort of groupings where at least you're looking at similar data elements together so that you're sort of not all over the map with GCS and then a blood product and then, something else. So hopefully that'll be helpful, but this is kind of what it would look like. I'm not 100% on it. I'll have Dr. Timmons review my groupings prior to loading them into the survey, but this is generally what those pages would look like with the groupings.
It's helpful to have them together. Thanks for doing that.
Yes. So we might make a few changes, but generally you'll see these together. For the Delphi process itself, it'll be conducted using a surveylet through Calibrum. So everyone will receive an invitation email saying you've been invited to participate in this Delphi survey with a click to take the survey. I'm not sure if in the past this has been a challenge with going to people's junk mail. Pam, do you know if that was a challenge with NTRR?
It could happen, not always, but we'll always preface it with an email from center.
From us?
So you can look for it. Yes.
Okay, great. So once you get to the survey, then there's sort of an instructional page. And as we've discussed, we will do 3 rounds, and each data element that achieves 80% will not be visible in round 2. At the end of round 1, you will be able to add additional elements that you think are important for this group. It says epidemiology because they're first to go. So that's the screenshot that I was able to pull, but obviously this one will say Acute Hospital. And then part of the discussion, the executive committee met last Friday, and then the same sort of thing happened in epidemiology on Monday, whereby originally we were going to use more of a 5-point Likert scale for the data element itself, and then a 5-point Likert scale for each definition. And executive steering committee felt like that was going to be cognitive overload. And so epidemiology discussed this also on Monday. And right now we've got them reconfigured where you've got a 3-point sort of a disagree, neutral, agree for the data element itself, which is up here in this blue box. And then for the data definitions, you would actually rank order them. So I'm interested in folks' discussion on this committee as to their feelings about cognitive overload, because there's a lot, as you can see, there's a lot of data elements you're going to be looking at. So any thoughts on that? And for those of you that were in epidemiology, if you want to share anything that you guys discussed on Monday, that'd be great.
I mean, nothing more to share. I think the idea was to have a little bit more discriminatory ability so everybody doesn't sort of go to the mean when answering these things. So it's really not disagree, neutral, agree. It's like include, exclude, or no opinion. And we'll see how the variables shake out. So
do you feel like that should actually, those words should be changed instead of
I think
agreement
so.
to,
I think so.
right?
Because what are you really asking? Level of agreement. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for what we're trying to do. It's either you want to include this variable or you don't want to include this variable, or you don't have an opinion about it necessarily. And then the rank order is also, similarly to try and have more discrimination amongst the different definitions. So I think they were good changes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Carl's description matches my understanding. I mean, I didn't personally have a problem with the 7-point Likert scale. I mean, part of that question would be how that's analyzed, but I think if we're going to go to kind of a 3 option, it should be, as Carl described, it's a include, exclude, or no opinion. It might even be better to just have the options be include, exclude, and then not my expertise. So if someone's going to say that they have expertise on a given item, they should be able to make a determination
opinion.
whether it is included or not, and maybe add a comment field. Well, you've got a comment field there. If someone wants to add some nuance to that, I think they can certainly add it. But I think with this structure, we're still going to have the regression to the mean that was highlighted as a concern. I think depending on how you analyze the Likert, that could be avoided, but I certainly agree that this would avoid that.
I do like having the comment field too, because sometimes when it might be a conditional include, right? Like if I can't think of a good example right now, but there might be something where you say, well, if we were going to collect the information on this level of granularity, I would say it would be too hard to not to, but I would do it if it was, XYZ. So having that comment field will be important. Can you explain the rank orders again? Sorry, I missed that, my thing cut out. What's in that pull down menu under rank order?
It's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 would be,
Okay.
yeah, yes. Yes, so you would rank order those, and some of the definitions, some places have, some data elements, have, maybe 4 different options. The data definitions will be displayed using that order of precedence sheet that we've talked about before, where we'll start with FITBR common data elements first. And if we don't find one, we'll look at the MTDS data element. And so you'll be offered all of the available data definitions in the order of precedence order, if that makes any sense, right? So FITBR, then NTDS, then whatever the other ones, if there's another NINS definition that is there, and on down the line. So some of them may have 3 or 4 data definitions to look at.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Michelle or Pam, is there anything else we need to cover in regards to the survey itself and the way that it'll be done?
I would add that just you see on this page, there are some links to supporting documents that you may want to maybe pull up on another screen for reference. Like if you want the overall picture of everything you're going to be looking at, that's a PDF that's available. The core that were selected by the CDE steering committee, that PDF is available if you want to refresh your memory, like, well, why isn't this on there? Oh, okay, that's right, it's core. And we will also send these to you as email attachments in advance.
That's really great, because that'll help us kind of also, if you have to do the survey and segments, to know where we sit.
Yes, yep, that'll help you
Yes.
track too.
Yes.
Yeah, that was going to be my comment, is that whenever you hit the blue arrow at the bottom of each page, it automatically saves. So you don't have to do it all in one setting. You can leave it and come back.
That'll be terrific. Thanks.
Mhm. Okay. And then because we've made some changes and we're updating the surveylet and working through the kinks on that, we've moved everyone's Delphi start date to the right. So we were supposed to start on the 22nd of April, and now we'll be starting on the 29th of April. Still 3 weeks to complete it, with a week in between, but just wanted to let everybody know that we'll be starting a week late, which I think probably works for all of us to push that out just a little bit longer. I know that there are some that I really want to discuss with you, Dr. Timmons, and anyone else that wants to spend just a little bit of time before I finalize their survey. I sent an email to Dr. Timmons a week ago or whatever about these in particular. These initial ED hospital, DCS, eye, motor, et cetera, within NTDS, the obtaining of that data, or that data being within 30 minutes of admission, is within the data definition. And so we may have some extra sorts of questions within the acute hospital survey that get to, do you need the time? Do you not need the time as part of the definition? Is there something else that would be most reflective of what you're looking for, that kind of thing?
Thank you.
Anything, go home.
And I would, somebody's got their microphone
They
there.
want to lose part. No, of course not.
Sam? Thanks. I was just going to add that if people could be thinking about this particular question of timing, because we have the opportunity to do initial vital signs, initial Glasgow coma scores, et cetera, but that may be pre-resuscitation and may not be totally indicative of prognosis. And that's definitely true for GCS, and it may well be true for blood pressure and heart rate and things like that. So I would ask people to either comment now about your thoughts of whether we should include initial values and post-resuscitation values, and then we'd have to define what post-resuscitation means, or if we should just do initial or do more than that. So if you have a comment or an opinion on that right at the moment, please share. If not, maybe you can email or think about it when we send the survey comment request around.
Yes, and I can send,
Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No,
I'll
you
send
go.
this PDF out so that you can actually take a look at it. And then if you're not prepared to comment today, you could certainly comment via email once you have this, this list. Go ahead.
I was just going to comment that based on what was just mentioned about defining post-resuscitation, that's extremely challenging. And so that it should come out in the survey, but, I would suggest that, initial BP or initial lowest BP is what we're going to end up going with.
It's definitely challenging to define. You're right. That was my.
And I don't think that's really our mantra here. So things that require that amount of definition, might be beyond our purview.
Right.
Because there's no
Thank you.
standard for it.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. And the other thing that, again, just some advanced thought, and I know that you all have an opinion about this, but when I did the reviews for data elements, of course, I got pack cells in CCs and in units and platelets, and you're right. And I know that I think there's been movement trauma-wide to, sort of record them more similarly. At least I hope so, but that'll be also something for you to work through within the survey proper, which is why I included in here CCs or units, so that we can figure that part out. All right. That is all I have for today. Are there
That's good.
questions?
Well, thanks for the feedback on the timing question, because that was going to be one of the challenges we met with with describing the Delphi. So that'll be helpful. If anybody has any other opinions on it, let us know. Looks like we can adjourn, I think, if there are no other questions or comments.
I agree. I don't have anything in the chat box that we need to address. So I think we're in good shape. I will send this out. This is recorded, so those who weren't able to attend can listen to that and get back to us with any other comments additionally via email, and hopefully we'll stay on target to be able to start on the 29th.
Sounds good. Thanks for all your hard work. Appreciate everybody's
Thanks,
time.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.